Program 6, Demonstration. This is a demonstration program for an invitation to programming. The program is not going to be like the others. We are going to show you 2 actual programs written for the Atari computer and how these programs work. The purpose is not to teach so much as to show you what can be done with your computer. The actual programming techniques can be learned from your Atari Basic Manual. The first program is the game of Number Guess. Here is a listing of the program. The second program is called the Atari Symphony. It plays music and draws a picture. Here is its listing. Before we go through the programs, let's run them to see what they do. The first program, Number Guess, asks you to guess a number picked by the computer between 1 and 100. You get 7 chances to guess it. You can play it as many times as you wish. Push return to start. Okay, now let's look at the Atari Symphony program. Push return to start. Now let's look at the 2 programs to see how they work. Let's start with Number Guess. Notice that most of the lines are spaced 10 units apart. This allows the programmer plenty of room to add lines to the program that may fall between 2 lines. The first line of the program contains a graphics mode instruction. It tells the computer to go into graphics mode 0. There are several different graphics modes on the Atari computer. This one clears the computers and allows type to appear on the screen. You can learn more about these graphics commands in Chapter 10 of the Atari Basic Manual. The next line sets the background color. Again, you can learn more about this in Chapter 10 of the manual. This program is going to give the player 7 chances to guess the number. Line 50 starts counting the tries at 0. Line 60 picks a random number from 1 to 100. Chapter 4, page 91, explains how this random number formula works. The computer now has picked a random number between 1 and 100. Let's say that the number the computer picked was 74. The user does not know this number. In line 80, the player types in his or her guess. Let's say that the player guesses 50. The computer now goes to line 90, which counts the try by adding 1 to the number stored in tries. Tries now equals 1. The computer then goes to line 100, which reads, if guess is greater than number, then print too high, guess lower. Since guess is not larger than the number, the computer skips this line. Line 110 reads, if guess is smaller than number, then print too low, guess higher. This condition is true, so this line is activated. The player gets this message. Line 120 is not true, so the computer goes on. Line 130 is also not true, since tries equals 1 and not 7. Line 140 sends the computer back to line 70 for another go-around. The user now tries another guess. This time the guess equals 75. Tries equals tries plus 1 or 2. Line 100 is now activated and the player gets the message, too high, guess lower. The program falls through to 140, which sends the computer back to line 70. Now the user makes one more try and gets a little lucky. He or she guesses 74. The computer now goes to line 90 and makes tries equal to 3. It goes to 100, then 110, and finally to line 120. Line 120 is the true condition, so it is activated and the computer gets sent to line 300. At line 300, the player is told that his or her guess was correct, and the game is over. Now let's look at the Atari Symphony program. This program makes use of sound as well as graphics and color. The first thing to note is that most of the variables that determine the sound and color are picked at random in lines 530 to 560. This makes the patterns that you see and hear strictly random. Lines 590 to 607 turn on the sound registers. The Atari computer has 4 sound registers labeled 0, 1, 2, and 3. This number is the first one in the sound instruction. The second number in the instruction determines what note the register will play. You can learn more about this in Chapter 10 of your Atari Basic Manual. When the sounds are made, the computer draws a line on the TV screen. Line 570 tells the computer what color to make the line. Line 580 tells the computer where to draw the line. When you ran this program, you may have noticed how many lines the computer drew on the screen and how many times the musical notes were changed. This is due to one line, line 520. Line 520 tells the computer to repeat the sequence of instructions, following it 50 times. Line 630 shows where the sequence is to end and calls for the next count of the cycle. This kind of repeating loop is called a for next loop. You can learn about it in Chapter 6 of Atari Basic. The cycles stop when cycle equals 50, and lines 640 to 670 turn off the sound registers. And there you have it, 2 sample programs out of the infinite number that could be created on the Atari computer. And now, congratulations, you have completed an invitation to programming. You now have some knowledge of how to program the computer. Try writing some programs now using what you've learned. Of course, you won't remember everything perfectly, and will make a lot of mistakes as you program. Well, here's one more thing you should learn. All programmers, no matter what level they're at, make mistakes as they program, and have to try out the programs, find and correct their mistakes. To learn more basic and more about the exciting things the Atari computer can do, study the Atari Basic Book. You'll find it easy to understand, since much of the material will be familiar to you, because you learned it in an invitation to programming.